What up? All right. Hold on. Let me throw my filter on here. All right. There we go. Should be good. Welcome on down, everybody. Shut that off for now. We'll keep that for the marble stuff. Yo, Craggerroll. Thank you for the... How long now? 6 months. Is that right? Thought it was longer than that, but thank you, dude. Appreciate it no matter what. Thank you for the resub, brother. That can't be right. I feel like it's longer than that. But thank you again. I think Twitch is both. Yeah, 38 months. That's what I thought. Oh, hold on. Deactivate. There we go. Yeah, it says you've been subscribed for 6 months. Thank you, dude. Appreciate that. Twitch trying to downplay your 38 months. Yay. Round of applause. Right. That is right. And we also got the marble race open now. Unfortunately, this is just for people watching on Twitch. But for the folks watching on YouTube, and if you're watching this VOD later, because every once in a while I see people type !play from VODs from like months ago. We have a new video, generally the last video of the month on YouTube, we do a giveaway. So that'll be coming out next week. I have a video already uploaded. It's up early for members. That'll be coming out Sunday. Not the giveaway one. We have one coming out next week. But on Sunday, we have the mole crab sand flea fly that you saw us tying on stream the other week. We have a tying tutorial for that. That's going to be coming out on Sunday and Sunday morning. So, but appreciate everybody tuning in. We do have the marble race open. That'll be open for a while. That's for the folks on Twitch. We got the sub one first and follower as usual. But don't worry, for anyone watching on YouTube, we got our giveaway via the video soon. You haven't taken the boat out though yet, Craggerall? Dropped it off at a marina before I left for vacation and threw a rod. $7,200 sunk. The boat sunk? Is that what happened? Is that what you're telling me? You fixed it up and everything and it sunk? What happened? Did was the plug not in it in the back, or did the bilge pump? It had it just the hull leaked and the bilge pump didn't work? Oh, dude, I'm sorry to hear that. 07. Yeah, get an 07 in chat. Oh, the boat didn't sink, but the motor never ran. Oh, okay, okay. Oh, God, the way you typed that, I thought you said the boat sank. Still, you could type an 07 in chat for the... Gotcha, the motor's toast. Yeah, what is the compression bad or something, or is just the motor shot? No compression or something? Yeah, I got to figure something out. I don't know. We might need to get a replacement motor for my boat because trying to get the motor to turn is going to be impossible. Just $7,200 in sunk costs. Yeah. Hence why I don't have a running boat at the moment. I blew my load getting it and fixing everything, and then something else broke, and now other things are breaking, and other things are breaking, and it's just a never-ending thing of things breaking. Gotta love boats. You could also buy a new one for $100,000, but you know, we ain't there, so. Well, yo, Brew, what's going on, dude? I hope you're doing well. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, Craggroll, but you'll figure it out. Either get a motor, you know, as long as the hull is, solid. That's what counts. You can always get a used motor, so. If not, you know, get rid of it and try and find something, but. What's going on, Charles? What's up, Mike? I made that trip to Maine. I landed 2 Atlantic stripers. I had another get off the hook when I was getting them up on the rocks. Oh, very cool. Were you asking about fishing in Maine and what flies to bring or something? Well, I'm glad to hear that, Charles. So were you fishing on the rocks, essentially, like the ocean? Yeah, dude, that's the sort of fishing I want to do when I go to Maine, even though it's dangerous. That's the stuff that I saw in, like, photos and read articles in the 90s and stuff like that. Yeah, that was you. Cool, man. I'm glad to hear it. What sort of flies were you tossing? Would you have an intermediate, right, or a sink tip as well? I think if I'm not wrong. Oh man, yeah, we had good streams. We'll have more streams fixing the boat hopefully, and then using the boat. So the hull's good. I'm gonna clean it up and cover it up because I'm probably not gonna be able to use it this year. But I'm gonna make sure that I can work on it. I got to do some stuff to the boat itself, and then figure out the motor situation. I don't know. I'm happy I didn't spend $600 on a trim unit, $800 on a trim unit. I spent $220 on a used trim unit that's supposed to be working certified or whatever. So I'm happy that at least I didn't blow a bunch of money before trying to turn the steering wheel like an idiot. So essentially, there's a case that the motor, there's a shaft, and it sits in there, and it's all rusted up because they notoriously designed it in not necessarily a good way on that particular Honda. But I think I greased that port, I'm sure, but then it sat, and the longer these things sit, the more issues you get. So that's why you kind of have to. It's better to keep them working. That's with really anything in general, but we'll get there eventually. I'm not selling that boat. I'm gonna fix it one way or another. I gotta sell my 240. That's never getting fixed. So I gotta sell it as like parts or something. But that thing's gonna be a hassle to get rid of, I bet. I would love to strip it and just hang on to everything, but I don't know how I'm gonna do that. But one way or another, the real goal, I've kind of shifting ideas. I would love to probably, I'm going to figure out, I'm going to relaunch a website this time, do it right, and with the storefront and everything, and start with flies and maybe in the future expand to materials. That's kind of the idea. But start with flies. So I'm going to have to design a site, figure out, probably go with Wix again or something, but I got to go through this whole process again. So it's going to be a little while. I want to make sure I do it the right way, but it was on the rocks and there was a sandy beach nearby. I was fishing a green crab flying the transition of the tide when it was going out, full sinking. Hell yeah. Yeah, those rocks are full of crabs. They're full of pollock, small pollock, crabs, things like that, you know? So I love to hear it. Well, we're going to get started off with, I actually have some I've been working on for a guide. I'm going to be finishing these up over the weekend as well as some rooster fish flies for a local guide who's using these for stripers, obviously, this surf candies. But so we're just going to tie the surf candies for a little bit and it gives me a chance to like chit chat with you folks while we do that. And then afterwards, we'll probably maybe whip up some random flies for the, to be going out in giveaways. So I have last month's stuff from June. I got everybody's address that's going to be getting shipped out, and then whoever wins this month will do that in a week or two or something like that. Last month we had Jin and Colin on Twitch, and then I forgot, but we pulled the winner. I gotta respond to them on YouTube for our last giveaway video. And I'm glad to hear your trip to Maine was a success. You can officially say you caught some Maine stripers. And on a green crab fly, so that's pretty cool. It's not like you were just throwing clousers, you know what I mean? Something interesting. And on the rocks, it's the way you do it. I'd probably be throwing like 5-6 inch pollock flies is what I'd be doing, or like grocery deceivers, because that's like, I remember watching dudes up in Maine tie grocery deceivers all the time and stuff. But a green crab fly is a very cool option, so I probably wouldn't have even thought of that. So kudos. All right. So I'm using Supreme hair for this. Pretty simple. I got a bunch of these, the hooks all tied up. I only have a handful left to do. I'll finish these tonight. But pretty simple. The regular synthetic surf candy I have on my channel. Supreme hair, a little bit of Flashaboo, and then we go with the lateral scale on the side. So very simple. This is how I tie them for myself, for customers, shops, all that. So last week, Uh, all those mole crab flies were part of an order for our local shop, so I pretty much tied like 4 dozen deceivers, like 2 dozen clousers, a dozen half and halves, those 20 sand flea flies. I also picked up some hooks for tuna flies, but I've just been pretty much tying as much as I can. Getting as much stuff done as possible. We got the fall time coming up. That same shop also ordered like 300 sand eel teasers. I don't know if you remember, I was tying a bunch of those teasers for spinning rods. I even took the spinning rod down last year and caught a bunch of fish on those teasers with the spinning rod and forgot how easy it was. But so I got to tie like a couple hundred of those. They're pretty much surf candies, but just on larger non-fly hooks. So you can wrench fish with a spinning rod in the surf, you know. But I'm hoping we get a pretty good sand eel bite. This year I figured out a lot last year because it's just a while since I've went out and, we generally don't get these sort of sand eel bites in the past. They're starting to happen more often. So next year I'm going to go and I learned a lot more, from trying to figure out specific areas. And what it really boils down to is finding structure. So, unfortunately, early part of the fall, the South Shore beaches on Long Island are very hard to fly fish because the fish are generally a little too far out. You will get them in the surf line. I caught a couple, but the waves are just so rough. The way the beaches are still, and the beaches start essentially eroding every fall, and they like rebuild them with more sand, the Army Corps engineers. But the beaches start eroding in a particular way, and then we start getting troughs and stuff, which is perfect. But earlier in the fall, the beaches are still extremely steep, and the way that the waves are, they're just like 4, 5, 6 foot right on the beach. So it's really tough just to have your fly line just even sitting in the water, even with the full sinking, because the waves are so strong. If you've ever been knocked around the waves like that while swimming, your fly line gets tossed around like crazy. Later on in the year, in October and November, um, you get more, the waves calm down because you get sandbars that build up offshore, maybe 100 feet or so, sometimes only, 50 feet, sometimes 200 feet. And that's when you start getting more fishable conditions with the fly because you get structure really close. You get all sort of riptides and pools and troughs and sandbars. But the other thing is that those sandbars stop the waves from just decimating you right on the beach. You still get it, but that's where having a sinking line helps, Jimmy, for sure. Um, but sometimes people will say even a floating line might help with that because it'll stay at least above the waves and you can somewhat control it. But there are just some times where it's so rough that you almost can't fly fish, right? Or you have a very limited time your fly's in the water, and you spend a lot of time waiting for waves to try and cast. And that is the thing. Sometimes you might need to wait literally. I mean, it might be a couple minutes, sometimes like 2, 3 minutes that you're waiting. And what you'll find is that there'll be sets of waves, and then you'll get a chance where you can literally probably, I mean, most of the time what you do is you wait. I'm impatient a lot of times, so I'll just keep casting. But Lou Tabor, he talks about this. You can wait, and it's not every case, different beaches and wave sets and times of the year are different, but sometimes you'll get these breaks in the waves, and it may happen every like 30 seconds or sometimes every couple minutes. Who knows? But the main thing is you want to look and try and figure out the timing of those and wait. And then that is your opportunity to at least like, because a lot of times what you find is that's when you get a good cast. A lot of times what you find is you're like, okay, you're trying to time your cast so that it lands perfectly before the waves start breaking, or essentially right after a wave breaks. So you get maybe 5 to 15 seconds to actually fish the fly before the next wave comes, picks up your fly line, tosses it around. So that's where looking for these longer breaks helps. But a lot of times you'll be casting, and it's just, even if you get the timing right, the wave sets are so close together that it's like impossible to fish. So it's like the biggest struggle. It was really tough. I saw so many fish last fall, and I picked up the spinning rod because I even took my truck on the beach. I got the 4x4 permit, So I brought my surf rod and my fly rod. And the surf rod, it was like every cast. I was slamming fish on my teaser. I was using a 007 and the teaser. I was happy they were hitting the teaser. But they were just a little too far out. But the other thing is the waves were just so strong that where that sandbar was, I couldn't, fish the fly effectively. But later in the year, November, late October, November, that's when you start finding the beaches calm down. So you get more fish that gets drawn into that little deep section in the in between the sandbar and you. Yeah, those troughs are what you're looking for. So I actually walked out on the sandbar, uh, you know, at low tide where the waves would be breaking. And I was walking and I was trying to cast out, but I was looking to my right, and the water was only about maybe 8 to 10 inches deep, maybe a foot at most. But the water was washing over the sandbar, and I could see sand eels getting kicked out of the sandbar, or I was spooking them with my feet, and they would shoot off and try and swim back. And as I'm looking at that, I'm just slowly walking. I see a striped bass, nose down, tail up, and it's just swimming. And it literally was too close to me, unfortunately. But I think there are prime opportunities for actual sight fishing in the surf in those troughs. So especially middle of the day, or you only have a certain time that time of year with the sun, where the sun's the highest, and you need the right tide at a low tide. But I think you can sight fish those fish. You just need to like. I wasn't prepared for it, right? It gets hard when the current really strong. It'll take your fly line without taking your fly. Yeah, when using the floating. Yep. Uh, don't have a double rod. Do you have any suggestions on a spay rod? Yeah, I think what a lot of folks use in the salt is a switch rod, which is not as extreme as a spay. Spays are always longer, and they're kind of set up for tapers that are for more spay fishing, where you're doing spay casts. And you can regular cast or two-hand cast spay rod, but switch rods generally they could be from like 10 something to like 12 foot, something like that. That's a pretty good area, or a pretty good mix. And you can still single hand cast it as well, which is primarily how I fish switch rods, because I'm not that good at it. So the main thing with those rods is you got to find the right line. It's really tough finding the right line. Once you do, it's like thing casts like a dream. And you can cast 120, 130 feet with the wind at your back a lot of times. So, but I've been using a Cabela switch rod for years. The thing's beat to hell. I also have a really, really, really nice custom built Sage spay rod, 14 and a half foot. I've only used it a handful of times steelhead fishing. It's almost too nice to fish. But I'd recommend like a larger size switch rod, and maybe like a 9 weight if they make it, because even an 8 weight switch rod feels like a 10 weight fly rod. You know, Reddington 11 7 foot or 7 weight, 11 foot 7 weight. Yeah, yeah, that's a good rod. We don't get those sandbars built up on the west coast. It's not deep. Yeah, your beaches are really flat, right? Is that what it is? Oh, water's too deep. Oh, in the Bay Area. Gotcha. Yeah, what are the beaches in California? Are they pretty shallow as they go out? It's been years since I actually like walked on a beach in California, but have you checked out the book by John Field, Fly Fishing for Trophy Striped Bass? No, not yet. No, not yet. That I actually may have met that dude. He may have done a presentation at this fly rod club that I was doing. Like it was like a part-time guide for, essentially, just for this little trip. But the name sounds familiar. I may have met the guy actually. Watch him give a presentation in person. They're super deep. Oh, okay. We don't get very shallow. When you start walking out, it just drops. Gotcha. Well, I guess that makes sense why there's like freaking white sharks and killer whales and stuff. So I don't remember, it was somewhere up north in California, but my grandfather used to live in, I'm trying to remember, Sherman Oaks was the name, I'm pretty certain. But you could walk down, or you could go to the water, and there was like mountains, and the mountains had rattlesnakes. We were like walking through these drainage ditches. It was wild. We saw mountain lions, rattlesnakes everywhere. But they said when it rained, like the rattlesnakes would get washed down onto the beach. But we were walking on the beach there, and I saw a baby seal, and I like almost walked right up to this thing. It was so cool. Now you get now knowing now this was in the '90s. Knowing now you're not really supposed to approach wildlife, but the thing's like, oh, we're chilling, watching it. We see seals swimming out in the water, and then a freaking killer whale comes like flying out of the water. Like, I clear as day, I remember watching like this killer whale attacking seals right off the beach in California. It was so cool. I was obsessed with like wildlife when I was a kid too, so I could like recognize. I was like, that was a killer whale. Like everyone was like, was that a shark? But we were just chilling, and we were like, oh, what are all those seals doing over there? They're probably getting attacked by these like a pack of orcas or something. But that was like one of the coolest things that I saw. Probably the coolest thing I saw in California, other than a mountain lion up on this hill late at night. You could just see the silhouette of it as it was walking on these, because they had fences around the community for the mountain lions. Oh, is it in Los Angeles? I don't know. Was it Sherman Oaks? Maybe that's where my mom grew up. I feel like it was up north more, but maybe. It definitely was like mountainous, the area. I might be getting confused. But yeah, that was pretty cool. We were like walking through these like it's like rock formation back behind like the community, and there were like these drainage ditches that ran along it. And as we're walking, like every once in a while we hear noise, and we stopped, and dude, you could just hear all these rattlesnake tails going like. I'll never forget that. It was I was walking with my dad and like one of my cousins or something, or something like second cousins or something. Yeah, it might be. I don't know. I'll have to ask my mom. It's been so long. But I remember we went there for Christmas one year. It snowed. So I mean, it definitely was further up north. This might not have been Sherman Oaks, but that might have been where she grew up. But I remember it snowed a little bit, because you'd have like freaking like mule deer in the backyard and stuff. But I remember there was a Winter Olympics too, so whatever year that was, early '90s. But I got a brand new Sega Genesis. Never forget it. So cool. Snow's a Magic Mountain. Isn't that like a theme park? Now I'll have to ask my mom later and see where we were staying. I was talking to a fishery science guy up in Maine, and he said there was a pod of orcas that visit there. Yeah, isn't that wild? I thought I thought were most like West Coast, right? But then I remember seeing something where they have orcas that it's either in the Mediterranean, I want to say, like off the coast of Italy or something, where they attack sailboats, where essentially they just like mess with sailboats, like screw up the rudders and stuff. I think it's somewhere, it's like either off Italy or Crete or Greece or somewhere. So it's got to be the Mediterranean then, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's off the coast of like France or something in the Atlantic. Come down from Greenland. Ah, man, yeah, those are wild. Those are the true apex predators, right? That would be something to see an orca swim past my 21. Another Sherman Oaks, but that's in the Bay Area. Yeah, no, this is definitely up north. I'll have to ask. I think maybe she grew up somewhere in Sherman Oaks or something, but I'll have to see what the name of the area was. Anyways, Cali was cool. I mean, I only went there in the '90s, but it was cool. I enjoyed it. Went down to San Diego as well and other places. Flew around a little. But yeah, Northern California is nice. The areas where it's like mountainous, I like that. And then you got the water there. It's very interesting. It's much different than how here you have like uh what the geography is like on the East Coast near the water. Yeah, that's what was nice in the 90s, yeah. A lot of places were nice in the 90s. I'm not a number two. So, Jin, I mentioned you in the new sand flea fly video, the mole. I couldn't figure out how to put the little apostrophe over the E, though, so it just says the mole sand flea fly. But I made sure to give you the credit for the naming of it. Doing some creek fishing for the sodium-free stripers in the morning. Nice. Sodium-free stripers. I like that. It's the first time I've heard them mentioned like that. Yes, yes. Very nice. What do you throw in for freshwater stripers usually? Yeah, I don't know what we're gonna tie. I kind of want to tie some sand eel stuff, like thin, flat style sand eel stuff. Thinking maybe some bendbacks. So I really wanted to go fish during the week. I got to go during the week because if I go during the weekend, there's just so many people. Unless I go super early, but so I'm gonna shoot for like Monday or something or Tuesday. I'm gonna try and go fishing. I gotta bring a GoPro. Probably go earlier in the day because there's still gonna be a bunch of people on the beach. But I want to go and I want to throw sand flea flies. But I would like to bring some sand eels as well. So the Vivas mono? No, this is the black spool. What is this? Uni? This is Uni mono. I also use the Danville mono. These are the two monos I use right here. I haven't tried Vivo yet. I have a GoPro 5 Hero Black, I think, or a 4. Yeah, I think they're both 4s or something like that. My buddy, shout out to Yo, it's okay. I've been I'm borrowing them for like the past 3-4 years, making YouTube videos with them. I think they're 5s. I think it's the Hero 5 Black and then the Session 5 Black or something. That's what they are. They work pretty good. They've worked for years. Some of the older ones, I mean, the older ones are better in my opinion because you could have a wired microphone plugged into them while you record. Nowadays, I think they don't have a 3.5 millimeter port or something for external microphones, so you have to use like a Bluetooth mic or something. But it's just always nice to use like a lapel mic. I don't have that option on mine, unfortunately, but the one previously, I think it was the 4. But yeah, that's the problem. You buy a brand new GoPro, and then in a couple months, it's like I think every year probably they come out with new ones now with better features. It's just everything, the way everything is now. So, but don't worry. I mean, look, I've been using mine for years. You'll probably be using that thing forever. The mole fly, yes. How the hell you get that little didgeridoo on top of the E? Do I gotta buy a French keyboard, Turkish keyboard, or something? Bulkheads I've tied, some larger, drunk and disorderly. Nice. Jerk changers. They like the erratic action. Yeah. I mean, they're pretty much like bigger largemouth. Even in saltwater, it's like the same thing. They are very attracted to action and stuff like that. It's just when you don't have current, you have to change it up, right? With current, you could throw bucktail jigs, things like that, because the fish are reacting differently. Like when on a beach structure, for instance. And it also depends on what they eat, right? You're trying to present a fly, a lure, whatever you're doing, a bait, and present it as naturally as possible for the area. So they get super hot now when they're running. I find a very difficult feature to get around on GoPro. Overheating from recording. Yeah. I mean, I haven't had issues. I always had issues with them just running out of battery quick, which just happens when you film in higher resolutions. But yeah, that's always an issue. When we were streaming on my boat during the summer and filming, I had to like put my hat over my phone because streaming on my phone with a black phone, even with a case, my phone would start overheating and just shut off. But I gotta say, the Hero 5 Black, I mean, with the case that I use and stuff, it is exposed to the sun. I mean, I don't think I've had an issue with it overheating. Regular cameras like the Sony A6000s or the A6400s, yeah, they'll overheat for sure. Oh, dude, I'm still on 4K. Speaking of overheating, thank God I looked. Holy. The camera would have overheated and I would have not known why. I would have known why, but good thing I checked. It probably looks a lot nicer, but we're going to have to switch to HD because the camera will overheat. Now I got to reactivate the camera because we switched resolutions. Oh, good. Good thing I remembered, dude. The camera would have overheated for sure. I mean, even with the AC on, but 5K, damn, you had to up me 1K, huh? Yeah, we do all the fly tying stuff in 4K, but all the like any GoPro stuff, I just film in 1080p usually. Because I usually end up not filming any of the action because I'm trying to film like me hooking up fish instead of just turning it on when I do hook a fish. And by the time you know it, the battery's dead. And then I start hooking the fish. That's usually how it goes. On the iPhone, you just hold down the E and it pops up. Ah. Yeah, I haven't used an iPhone in years. I had to switch to Android specifically for streaming. And I enjoy Androids now. I don't think I'll go back to an iPhone. But iPhones are nice for some things. Macs in general, or interface stuff, is nice for certain things. But Walter GoPro Hero 9. They eat a lot of shad here. One of my favorites is the spot on bait fish. Hmm. What are you talking about? A little spot on a bait fish? Or is that the name of a pattern? Spot on bait fish. Android probably does it too. Interesting. Okay, I'll have to. Oh, you know what? I maybe seen that before. Let me just see if I can do it right now. You know what? I'll just shut that off. Sorry. I'm looking for a ceiling. I'm looking for better lights, or at least ceiling mounts for my lights, maybe, so I can free up some space on the ground. I also want to film some more battle report stuff for my second channel, uh, and I need better lighting. So I'm trying to figure out some way of mounting lights on my ceiling that I can still plug into the wall. Let me just go. If I just hold. Ah, yes. Very nice. I see the E. I'm gonna have to modify. Don't. I'll modify it on YouTube. You know we're going with the E, the mole. Mole, 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 mole. It's a shad pattern. Oh, okay, interesting. Well, I know shad have a spot on them. It's the same thing like bunker, but it is a shad pattern. It did sound like a fly technically. It was a weird name, but one of my favorites is the spot on baitfish. That makes sense. It could also, it was almost read like though as well. It almost read like you were talking about the spots on like Manhattan. You gotta love the English language. Probably how confusing it is for somebody learning it. There's so many things like that where it's to make it hard. Oh, you got some fish on the rips? First one of the year. Hell yeah. Some decent ones too. Were you throwing like squids? Fishing the rips? Were you drifting or very nice. Glad you're on the board. I haven't caught a fish since we went to Block in June, but you know what? That's all right. I'll make up for it here soon. I got a lot of fly tying to do, so it's summertimes usually just end up tie drifts. Nice. How can I share with you the flies Cursed Current series I came out with. You could join our Discord. In the description of the YouTube stream, there should be a link to our Discord. Uh, and it has a fly pick area or fly tying area. You can post and talk about fly tying, and there's a fish pictures area. There's a place for if you have help. There's a general section where I post when we go live every time. There's a gardening section. Slim Thunder loves to post his plants in there. You should be able to find that in the description down below. And for anyone watching on Twitch, if they wanted to join, you type !Discord in the chat and it'll pop up. I still haven't set up Nightbot yet. For YouTube, I need to. All right. You posted in the Discord? Yeah, we'll take a look at the Discord later. I tell you what, it might just be you two folks in the marble race, gin and cracker roll. We'll see. We got another like 30 minutes. We'll find out. It'll be like a head-to-head battle. Charlie Bichard or Bisharat? Yeah, his name sounds familiar. I think I've seen his patterns before. I'll have to take a look. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but it sounds familiar. I've either seen him in books or I've seen his patterns or something. Oh, Brew's here as well. Or Brew did type. So somebody's here. So it's 3 guys. Sorry, Brew. We got time. The marble race is open for a while on Twitch. But hey, nothing wrong. A little slow night. We got some intense battles. Start polishing. That's what I say. Let's get that spread evenly. Yeah, I've been in a World War II kick. So you know I'm getting older. I'm watching World War II documentaries while sitting at home working. But God knows how many I watched since last stream. I think we were talking about it because I got into bolt action. So I have my like late war U.S. Army and paratrooper guys for this war game, bolt action. Now I have some German Fallschirmjägers, some Panzers and stuff. We're gonna film some battle reports eventually. But I've been going on a kick watching tons and tons of World War II kind of videos on YouTube, essentially, from like some really good history channels. And some American like veteran channels and stuff, but wild times. I've always loved that stuff, especially in college. History or world politics and all this stuff. Good luck with the pronunciation. I didn't learn how to properly say crayons until God knows how long. My group of friends had to convince me in like high school. You say it crayons and not crowns. So don't worry. Sure it'll take me a while. Hey yo, let me get some of those crowns over there. I want to draw on this piece of paper. They're like, that's not what that. Are you talking about the thing that kings wear in their heads? I'm like, no, crowns. Let me get some crowns. No, that's not right. It's crayons. What? A crayon? What the hell is that? Bless you. Gesundheit. I think it was Brev and my buddies back in like middle school or something, or high school. And they were like, what the hell are you talking about? Crowns. Pretty certain Rev was probably one of the ones, my buddy Rev, that you see on in our YouTube chat. Crayon. It still sounds weird to me. Crayon. All right. Yeah, what we'll do is we'll keep tying these. I only have a handful left. I'm gonna have to glue them all, but when we after we do the first marble race, we usually take a little break for a bit, go grab a drink or something, stretch my legs. We'll switch over. We'll tie some like sand eel style stuff. Yeah, I definitely want to go do some fishing. Go fish the surf, throw the sand flea flies. Like I said, I also want to bring some sand eels. So I like the bendbacks. Bendbacks are nice. I really like bendbacks, and I like jiggies. So I'm thinking jiggies, and I'm thinking bendbacks. Those are kind of my preferred. I don't fish clousers as much anymore. I definitely like that style of fly. Something about the jiggy, it just doesn't get like any weeds on it. Swims perfectly, it sinks, it's got a really good up and down motion. Definitely like converted over to that being my favorite weighted, smaller searching or just bait fish fly. I'm from Alabama, and hearing the thick Maine accent was awesome. I was telling a guy that was fishing out here that I landed a 30-inch striper, and he was, your striper was a keeper. They probably, Alabama accent, Southern accents are great. I love Southern accents. So that probably was a fun conversation. A heavy Maine accent. I don't know how heavy of a Southern accent you have, but I always love going down to North Carolina, places like Wilmington and stuff, and like you'd go to like a breakfast place, some nice lady, somebody's mom that's like a waitress there. She's like, "Hey y'all, how you?" Like that accent. Like everybody's so nice. Yeah, accents are a fun thing. It's interesting how regional accents develop throughout the U.S. Over time. A lot of it probably has to do with like the people who settled, in certain areas, or migrants, or not, migrants and immigrants and all the various people that founded this country over time, or that built it up. It's interesting. I like a good Massachusetts accent for other than a good Brooklyn one, that because that's definitely like the striper, keeper, bunker, that sort of thing. You know what I mean? Okay. Yeah, you should. If you, I think you might need to wait a couple minutes just to avoid bots and stuff, but you should be able to post your any fly pictures you want in the fly tying area. So feel free to, Jimmy. Unless it's secret, then you could, send me a message. But I'm sure everybody else would like to see. So where'd you, if you don't mind me asking, where'd you go up to in Maine and go fishing by? Did you go by the Kennebec? Are you up in Portland? Uh, I'm talking to be a secret. It's just a give me credit for the pattern. We're all. I don't know what you're talking about. You can post the fly if you want. If you want to send me a photo of the fly, sure. I'm not gonna like. It's your fly. I was asking Charles where he went in Maine. Portland, no, dude. I never lived in Portland. I used to live in the Bend, but now I live in the Bay Area, unfortunately. Yep. Oregon's nice. Oregon's real nice. I always thought about moving to the West Coast one day, but too much poison oak while going steelheading. Too much poison oak. I've seen it. Bushes and bushes and bushes of poison oak along the rivers. I'm like, oof. I'm so allergic to poison oak, sumac, ivy. Oh, remember, I thought I had something. I thought I had some poison ivy. I don't know what the hell happened. I vigorously washed it with Dawn. It was something. Maybe I spilled a bunch of like glue that day, modeling glue. Maybe something happened. I don't know. But, or I burned myself. But I was freaking out at the end of the last stream. I thought I had poison ivy. Not gonna lie. It had that straight up serious itch feeling where I'm like, oh, I cannot touch this. I can't scratch this because it might be the end of me. Be my downfall. Yeah, I don't even have to touch it. I've gotten it because other people walked through it carelessly, and then like we sat down on a couch. You know what I mean? And then their legs were rubbing all over it, and then I got it on the back of my legs, and it started spreading and like dumb stuff. You know what I mean? I watched it. It wasn't until years later I watched a video of somebody explaining with poison ivy, but it's essentially like you take an old axle apart, and you got axle grease all over your hands, and you really got to use that orange scrub to get it off you, and use like a rag to really get it out of like your hands and out of your pores. That's essentially what it's like. So even though it's just clear, unfortunately, but we don't want to talk about too much poison ivy. We spent a bunch of time talking about it last year. Yeah, yeah, these golden oil boils. If you're eating, I apologize. You can mute it real quick. When I was a mechanic, years ago, I was hunting. My landlord was like, "Yeah, you can hunt in this tree stand." It was covered in branches. I was like, "Dude, I'm hunting with a recurve. I have to cut half this shit down." I was like, "All right." Stupidly, because I couldn't even comprehend that this was poison ivy. It was like must have been growing for 1,000 years unchecked. It was so thick. Some of these branches, I thought it was a tree. And I'm like an ace at spotting poison ivy going down the highway at 70 miles an hour. I cut this thing, all of my super hunting gear during the winter, snowing. But there was a little area between my gloves and my jacket. And I cut this giant, thick, probably hundreds of year old poison ivy branch. And the oil must have just got like right here, or it was specifically on my left hand. It was right here. And dude, I realized, I mean, I always wash after hunting. I always take showers and I wash religiously so I didn't get poison ivy because I learned growing up. But something, I got it right here, and there was this boil that formed, and it was like this big, and it was literally like 2 inches high. It was like round. It was huge, and it was filled with golden ooze, like liquid. It was like poison ivy essence. And I was working as a mechanic, and it was so bad. The itching was so bad, and I don't itch. I don't scratch it because I've learned. I've like gone through like some sort of Russian sleep experiment of just months of poison ivy and being sitting there in the darkness and like training myself not to touch it so it doesn't spread. Like mental discipline. Like as a teenager, like freaking out laying in bed, like, oh, don't scratch it. So I learned not to touch it, but dude, it was so bad. And while I'm working, like it popped and it just was like oozing out all this like golden. And I'm showing my coworkers, I'm like, dude, check this out. And they're like, what the hell? And I'm like, they're like, I'm like, yep. And then 5 minutes later, it like seals up and it completely fills back up to the same size with this golden. I'm like, where's this stuff coming from, dude? But that's what your body's making in response as a reaction to it because it gets into your bloodstream. It actually got into my bloodstream. And I had to go to a doctor because I usually had to when it was bad. And they gave me shots and stuff. And they were like, all right, for the allergies. And they gave me some topical stuff, like super intense, to deal with it. But I dealt with it, whatever. And then it somehow like moved. And I would like, it popped up on my leg in one area or something like that. But the worst thing is like it came back in the same spot. It would go away for a while and then like it would come back. And to this day, I still feel like itchy. in this area. When I look at poison ivy, it like it itches. It's such a mental thing. If you're super hyper allergic to it, dude, it becomes like a mental game when you're dealing with it. It's wild. So I almost get like hyper obsessive about it. Like, did I get it? Did I not? I need to take care of this right now. But yeah, it was funny. The guys I was working with could not believe that like that thing filled up with poison ivy oil. Like 2, 3 times it refilled itself in a short period. They were like, "What the?" I told my boss, I was like, "I'm going home. I mean, I'm going to the doctors, dude. Screw this." It was itching so bad, I just like couldn't even focus because it was like it's one thing when you get it from the leaves, but it's even more concentrated if you start cutting into like those thick plants. You start getting the real shit. You know what I mean? All right, enough about poison ivy anyway. I'm traumatized, could you tell? Yeah, steroid shots. You know, his eyes were swollen shut. Dude, I literally didn't go to school for a month, and the school came to my house. For a month, my eyes were closed up, and they were giving me shots and everything. But I couldn't see for like a month. The school came to my house because they thought my parents were just BSing. And they saw me. I like walked to the door, and they were like, "All right, you're good. Never mind. You can just stay as long as you want." He has PTSD from poison ivy. Oh, good. Literally, it was like 2.5 to 3 weeks I couldn't see, essentially. You could barely see. You could barely see. Jeff Raleigh? No, isn't that a skateboarder for girls' skateboards in like the 2000s? Or that's Geoff Raleigh. But no, I haven't seen Jeff Raleigh tie anything or his tying. I think he and my wife both can just talk about poison ivy and get it. Yeah. Yep. It's funny, and I have friends like particularly a lot of my friends from like either Central or South America. I find that a lot of them aren't allergic to it. So we'd go like fishing together, and they'd be walking through poison ivy. I'd be like, "Nope, that's it. I'm not even. Don't even get in my car, bro." I told them I had to teach them the rules because they're not like my buddy from El Salvador or my one fishing buddy from Mexico. Like they were not allergic at all. So it was like, dude, I'm just letting you know you're not allergic. I'm paranoid about it. Paranoidly, that's not even the right word, but it's bad. So I'm like, you walk in front of me, and I'm gonna yell, "Stop!" Or left, right, like, because people don't even see it. They're like, "Oh, is that poison ivy right there?" Like giant bushes of poison ivy with like purple and like oil gleaming off of it. Yes, yes, that is. Believe it or not. Dude's a phenomenal tire. Those realistic looking, they almost look too good, like a piece of art. Yeah, there's something to be said about that sort of style of tying. It's definitely not my style of tying. I do more because I just tie for a living for like, guides and shops and people and stuff. I try to tie the best looking fly as possible, but still make sure it's like serviceable, right? Or just a good all around fishing fly, but there's something to be said about that sort of hyper realistic style of tying that's almost like an art form or, you know, that brings a different level of attention. The same thing like those, the freshwater flies that we see Bamboozle posting in the Discord, which are like the various insect flies where they're so hyper realistic looking, you know? I don't necessarily know how practical a lot of that stuff is in terms of like, can you fish it, catch like 30 fish on it before it gets destroyed or something, or just two, but I do appreciate that style of time. The fly tying algorithm gods brought you to me. Saltwater fly guy here in Queensland, Australia. You're like the third guy from third Aussie that's coming here recently. Well, hell yeah, roll yourself up a durry and come on down. That's my I know some Aussie slang brag from my days of streaming on Twitch and us knowing some Australian folks from the platform. Dirty durries. That's how I roll. You know what I mean? I don't know if they call them dirty durries when you mix it up with some greenery, but that's what we call them here on the channel. I wonder how Luke's doing. This dude's watching us on Twitch for years, this Australian dude. I hope he's doing well. We're glad to have you, Papa Inferno. Saltwater fly fishing, Australia. What do we got? Queen fish, right? Is that, do you guys get those down there? You got king mackerel, you got probably tuna, you got all sorts of different jack sort of style of fish, right? You got salmon, not Atlantic salmon, but the salmon that are, I forgot what they call them in New Zealand, but we know this from Australia's fishing, our good friend here on Twitch and YouTube. They're kind of like a striped bass, but in Australia without stripes, essentially. Saturday morning, bro. Just finished cleaning the house. Mrs. and Tyler are chilling. And now I'm hiding in the garage now. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, good. The dirties aren't good. My cardiologist doesn't recommend the tobacco, but stay blessed. Job blessed. Mm-hmm. Let's get out behind. Go in the garage behind the Oot or the Hilux. I just cleaned something out behind the Hilux, honey. I'm not saying I shouldn't try and do an Australian accent. It's terrible, terrible accent. We're glad to have you. What sort of fish are you usually going for? Yeah, they get GTs, right? That's what I thought. GTs, but I think that's in like northern Australia, if I'm not from what Australis was telling me, because I think we had a discussion about this one day or something. If I'm not wrong, I think he's southern Australia. Right? Isn't it? Because the higher north you go, the closer you get to the equator, so the hotter it gets. So probably the more like sort of like tropical sort of style of fishing where we're talking about like offshore style of fish with like sailfish, all that. Giant trevally, mangrove jack, barramundi. I forgot about barramundi. The whiting, of course, and the bream. Yep, tons of bream fishing. Flatheads, 3 meter flatties. Shout out to Shook One. Tailors, yes, tailors. See, now I'm remembering all of my Australian fishing info. Tailors are freaking bluefish. Literally the same thing we catch here. Same thing. Bluefish are known as tailors, which I guess they're spelt like the literal tailor that would fix your jacket. I didn't know that's how they were spelt, by the way. So it's cool to see that's how they were spelt. Aussie salmons, yep, which I forgot the other name for them. Freshwater bass, threadfin salmon, tons of perch, yep, cod, mackerels, yeah. Brim, yeah. Instead of bream, yeah, brim. That's funny because they say bream in like England or something. And what's the name of that the name of the chum that they use in Australia? Uh that's my last little bit of Australian thing I'm trying to remember that we always saw. It looks like freaking it's made out of like dough and stuff, but Australis is always chucking that stuff. Burley. Yeah, that's right. Sounds like you guys are throwing like wheat. A bunch of wankers. Yeah. It's not like the Australians have any history with England. It's not like we do either, the Americans, but I don't know what you're talking about. Barely. Gotcha. Not burly. Barely. Mm-hmm. I'm glad to see there's a lot of folks fly fishing in Australia because we've had either on YouTube or on Twitch over the years quite a few people. You see a lot of folks obviously from the United States and Canada. I'll throw that in there as well. You see a lot of folks from Europe, particularly like Sweden, Norway, Denmark. That's a very popular place for fly fishing, as well as like England, Ireland, Scotland. But Sweden, Denmark, Norway, places like that, very, very big fly fishing community. And then it seems like Australia's picking up because I remember talking to Australis years ago. He's been doing this stuff since the 90s and maybe even earlier. The Australian fly fishing industry like wasn't that full fledged. You know what I mean? Like trying to get gear and things regularly and this and that. Barely. Well, we'll get there when we get there, when I'm chucking it. Very nice. Well, that's what you got to do, you know? Gavin Platts is one of the premier fly guides and tutors. He's on the coast here. Are you east or west? You don't got to get specifics of like where you are in Australia, but I know there's there's different fisheries depending on what coast you're on. Very much so, like here in the U.S., West Coast and East Coast fisheries are they're like vastly different, completely different species and everything. Then again, they are completely separated by a giant landmass. So Australia is just an island, but I still think there's probably a variety depending on where you are. Just like temperatures and all that. It's a big country. Well, here, pointiest part on the map. Nothing wrong with that. Sounds like a good place to go fishing, if you ask me. All right, we're gonna finish off this last one here, and then we'll go ahead and do our marble race. We only got a couple folks watching on Twitch, so it's gonna be a now this is the subscriber race. So it's we got Brew, Craggerroll, and Jin. So if anybody's watching that's a sub or even a non-sub on Twitch, you can type !play. We're doing our follower one next, so that's open to essentially anyone that's following the channel. But it's gonna be a small race, which I like, head to head. And then for everybody on YouTube, if you don't want to watch on Twitch, you want to keep watching on YouTube, which you can watch on whatever platform you like. That's why we have options. Next week we have a video coming out some point before Thursday, or because that's the last day of the month, and we're going to have a fly tying tutorial where we're going to be giving away the fly. So we do that every month for now. I don't know if we're going to do that for the rest of my life, but for a while. We've been giving away flies on Twitch for years now. I figured we'd do some on YouTube. It feels unfair. Nah, you're good, Papa. Don't worry about it. I get it. I watch streams sometimes. I'm like I'm a small streamer though, so don't worry about it, right? I would prefer if you folks chat, but if you want to lurk, it's all good. It's funny, I watch streams with like hundreds and hundreds, or even 1,000 people, and a lot of times people just lurk, right? So there are times where I'm chatting, and I'm like chatting, or just typing stuff in chat, and I'm like, oh man, I'm the only person that's been talking this like whole time. Maybe I should chill out. But it's all good. I don't like. I know some people are like, hey, or what the hell? This guy's the only guy typing or something. Or if it's like somebody spamming the chat, that's one thing. But you're all good, man. We're what do you call it? I'm a small stream, so you're just talking. I got my voices already going. I recorded the voiceover for that new video before. EX Angler, how you doing? Just wanted to say hi. Love your ties. Hey, thank you. Appreciate it. Hope you're doing well. We got a new video coming out on Sunday. The mole sand flea. How do I go from number 2 to how did I go? I think YouTube has a new feature where I think depending on how much you type in the chat, it puts a little badge next to your name. And it's for that stream. So I'm pretty certain it's commenting. It's almost like how you have channel points on Twitch that you earn from watching. They're doing like a new thing. So depending on how much you've chatted, I believe is where that crown is based off of or something. All right. I find myself wearing it from time to time in some streams, but most of the time I'm a lurker. Yeah, Twitch has features where it's like you get channel points for watching and stuff like that, and things like that. YouTube has a feature where for each stream they'll put a little badge next to somebody's name depending on how much they interact. You may have addressed this question previously, but just curious why you like the Regal versus the Renzetti. I had an old Renzetti Traveler Saltwater Vice. Was great. I had a couple issues with the rubber band thing on the back. That broke once, and then also I lost the pin Or actually, maybe the rubber band issue only was an issue when I like lost the pin and the jaws were falling out. I got a replacement part, got a new rubber band. You know, that band that's on there. Worked great, right? But it was limited in some hook sizes. This was an older Saltwater Renzetti Traveler. Um, then I went to Saltwater Edge. I met the owner. I sat down next to the owner of Regal Vice, Don, and he let me try these vices out because I was looking for a new vice. And I used the Revolution, and I haven't gone back since. It's a little weird that it has two grooves, and it's not you can adjust it with a side thing. It's spring load, it's clamp loaded. But I'm telling you right now, like, you will never have a hook fall or move or anything like that. And I don't know. I've on this vise. I mean, I've had the head replaced a couple times, so it looks pretty for videos and stuff. But I've tied so many thousands of flies on this thing, and I just love it. I tried the Norvise. It didn't really work out for saltwater flies, in my opinion, but I think it's really just whatever your preference is. I think you could get away with tying on whatever your favorite Renzetti is for the rest of your life, and you'd be fine. But yeah, I met the owner. He let me try it, and then he built me one, and haven't switched back. So I love my Regal, and I'll always recommend a Regal. Better get to talking your ear off. Yeah, see, now they want to pump up their analytics. They're like, look how much everybody's chatting now. My Concho. All right. That's right. It's me, my Concho. Nice. Well, thank you for the follow on Twitch. If you guys want to see wild Aussie fly fishing, watch the channel Brooksy. He's a character, chases GT the size of Labradors on a broken fly rod. Tiger sharks chase him. Oh, hell yeah. There's a couple Australian guys that I watch on YouTube over the years, but yeah, I'd say pick one platform, Jimmy, for sure. I'm looking for advice for my son. I tie on an old Able Vice that I have no issues with. An Able Vice. What did the Able Vice? You're talking about the reel company that makes like expensive fly reels? They made a vice? Hmm. Kind of sounds familiar. Them having a vice, like, were they selling it back in like the 90s and like the peak fly fishing day in the 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s? You know what I'm talking about, the boom. Or is it like an older, because I don't remember seeing an Able Vice, but maybe I just might not remember. Yeah, either Renzetti Traveler or a Regal. I mean, a Revolution's nice, but this is like 380. A Saltwater Traveler is going to be like 260 or something, I think it is. 280, I want to say. Maybe 300. I forgot. We just looked it up recently. But Regal makes I think it's like 220. They make that doesn't have this fancy ball bearing system, but they make a more entry level, which is still really, really nice. And I don't remember the name, but they have two models. Yeah, it's weird. I don't remember that Able Vice. But it's does like it's raining. It's like in the recess of my mind. I'm like, where did they have a Vice back then? That I saw in like catalogs, you know? If you want to be part of the subscriber only race, which is happening, Jimmy, yes. If you want to use your Twitch Prime, you could feel free. I don't recommend just subscribing or doing a tier 1 just for that. You know, if you enjoy watching on the channel, then you can feel free. If you got a Twitch Prime, use it. Feel free. Otherwise, Jeff Bezos is going to put Drake in space next. Who's next? You know? But we have a follower one up next, so just wait for that one and give yourself a shot. Also, who is your favorite tire for Northeast saltwater flies, not including yourself? Well, I'm definitely not my favorite fly tire. I'm not like super braggadocious with my fly tying. Okay, I'll list them off. There's a handful. Top 3. It's rough to say, dude. There's so many good ones. Like honorable mentions: Lou Tabery, David Nelson from Squimpish Flies. So many. Dave Skoke. But my favorites, and not in any particular order. Okay, We got Bob Popovics, Mark Sadati, and Kenny Abrams. Kenny Abrams, huge influence. Flatwings changed my outlook on fly fishing for striped bass in general, like you're fishing for salmon. Bob Popovics, we know, best two saltwater fly tying books in the world probably, and revolutionized fly tying. Mark Sadati had a personal impact on me going to fly fishing clubs and meeting him and stuff, and seeing his fly tying and getting one-on-one, like sitting right next to him as a little kid and him giving me the flies. So that had like a huge impact on like how I looked at fly tying and adding weight to flies and things like that. And I always love his style of flies. It's a very 90s going back and is like putting the silly eyes or the googly eyes on the flies and stuff. That sort of style of like that 90s fly. And he really revolutionized before Popovics even attempted beast flies and big flies. Mark Sadati was tying like 12-inch flies, 10-inch flies. He was doing it in crazy methods, or using schlappenhackle and wire and multiple hooks and stuff. But yeah, if you got a Twitch Prime, go for it, Jimmy. But I wouldn't just tier one just so you could try. We do it every month, but there's YouTube. We do our giveaway, and there's the free follower one. We're going to do a marble race after this, where all you got to be doing is following. That's why we do too. Because I feel bad. I don't want people to just subscribe to do it. All right. So that being said, I think it is time for the marble race. So what do we got? We got brew, Craggerol, and gin. I'm going to join. Maybe I'll knock one of these guys off the track. We'll see. It looks relatively sane. Doesn't look too psychotic. But I will give a chance while I pull up the marble music. !play if you're watching on Twitch. Even if you're not a subscriber to the channel and you're just following the channel, feel free, hop on in there so we can get some marbles moving. And after this, we're going to pull up our follower one. Anyone that's just following the channel on Twitch, !play, and we're going to leave that open till the end of the stream. For everybody watching on YouTube, we got a new video coming out next week. And we're going to be, last video of the month, on YouTube, we give away the fly that we tied. So last month, last stream, we figured out who won that sand deal surf candy, and somebody's going to be probably winning a sand deal, what do you call it? Bendback, more than likely. All right, saved. Let me pull up my marble music. I love live chats. Now I can watch someone who ties flies and is chill, bro. Here, well, thank you, Papa. Appreciate that. We stream Friday nights, or Friday. So, oh, dude, Johnny Kane. I love Johnny Kane too. I didn't get super into his flies until I had to start tying some roosterfish flies. Then I kind of went in depth. But I've always had appreciation for his flies and the Kinky Mother. And I think he's buddies with David Nelson, who I tie, do some squimpish fly stuff with them. So, but I had a little conversation with him. What do you call it? Or not even a conversation, but he, some guides and stuff he recommended. So he's a very nice guy. I talked to him a little bit, and what do you call it? His Kinky Muddler. It's funny, like after years of fly tying, figuring and like going through and like tying that fly and like watching and like figuring out the reasons why he tied it the way he did. It's really, that's like a Popovics level fly, that Kinky Muddler. That's like a pattern that's in level of execution that is high up there, like Popovics and his hollow fly or whatever. It's going to be one of those patterns. I think we'll see in the future that people will remember that because once you really get into it, you see how that fly swims and stuff. I think there's probably no better roosterfish fly on the planet, even though I don't fish for them. From what I've heard, they go absolutely crazy for that thing, and you see it swim side to side, and it has a lot to do with the way that he wraps behind the hackle, and the hackle's 45 degree, and the way the head is. And he thinks about the fly design, which is important, All right, marble racing time. Let's get it. Anybody in the chat still watching? Hit the thumbs up. Yes, of course. Hitting the like definitely does help. You don't have to, but would be much appreciated. Apparently, the more likes, the more that YouTube spreads it. But anyways, first marble in the pit other than mine, because these are all subscribers here. Brew, Craggerol, and Gin is going to be winning some flies. Good luck, folks. After this, we got our follower one. Now, these are 3 marble racing veterans. All of them have won flies. I don't know if... I feel like Craggerol has won multiple. I think Brew and Gin definitely have won more. They've been watching for years now. One of the benefits of watching a channel doesn't get a lot of views. Does monthly giveaways. You got a pretty good chance after a while. Craggerol making his way first. Looking pretty good going around the bend here. Oh, wait. I got to turn the... damn it. I still have my audio thing on. My filter. There we go. Sorry. Hopefully the music didn't sound all screwed up. That's on Jerry. Everybody, yell at Jerry. That's right. No tips tonight. Craggerol looking good. Making his way up the front. Brew and Gin in the back. Getting hung up in the paddle section. The paddle sections are make or break. Again, this is all comes down to somebody's going to be winning a fly. Hand tied, because I don't tie with my feet. I tie with my hands. Hand tied, that's right. Not by feet. And in the mail on an envelope. Tied by me. That's right. So there's some marbles on the line here. Craggerol's looking good. He's using momentum. He's going through the paddle sections. He's going to go through that little area. Remember those little like dots on a piece of parchment paper that are candy? You know what I'm talking about? That's what that always reminds me of. But, oh God. He's got to find the hole. Don't you want to go to your home, little ball? Get in your home. Get in the hole. Oh, Craggerol. The timing, bro. The timing. Don't go in the hole yet. Oh! The suspense! Ah! I get wrecked. Ah. It all comes down to this. Gin and Brew. And now I'm thinking to myself, they were dots. I'm thinking to myself, what if neither any person makes it? You know, but it's good. They're taking separate sections. We're guaranteed somebody will win. We don't need to do the sub race. Brew. Will he be able to get in the hole quick enough? Gin. Will he be able to stay up high enough? Oh! Thank God, Brew. I swear to God. Thank God you made it in there. Round of applause. Hard earned. The only person in the winner's circle. Can we get a round of applause? That's right. Brew, Mojo, Gin, Craggerol. Oh, God. If we had to redo the race, man. We got a tight schedule we're following here, you know. High mortality rate. Exclamation mark. Rigged. Nice. Okay. So all we're going to do now is we're just going to open up the next one. We don't want to take too much time with all this, but, you know, I hope you folks on YouTube, even though you're not able to necessarily participate, I hope you guys are enjoying. I hope you're, like, rooting from the grandstands. Way more entertaining than a number generator. Yes, of course. Unfortunately, we can't do this for YouTube. I would love to. But, all right. Anyways, we're going to shut off our Mortal Kombat music from Epidemic Sound. This is open if you're following on Twitch, exclamation mark play in the Twitch chat. And we're going to leave this open for a while. Yeah, you're good to go, Mike Honcho. The name Mike Honcho. I don't know why I love it. I feel like it's definitely from, I've heard that from a movie or something. Mike Honcho. Yeah. That's right, brother. But yeah, so we're going to leave that open for a little while. We are going to take a quick little break, chat. Thank you so much for everybody watching on Twitch and YouTube. Anybody that watches in the VODs, appreciate you folks. You're awesome. Again, we got our new sand flea fly coming out on Sunday. Don't worry, don't go nowhere. It's just a good time. Stretch your legs and, you know, and whatnot, and you'll be good. The post is for anything I could win. I send it in a regular envelope. If it gets there, it gets there, Papa. I used to send the bubble envelopes, and I've sent packages to Australia that cost me like $20. We've had The reason why we stopped doing that is our longtime viewer Doc, who, and we figured out we could do this too. We could just send in an envelope, just like 1 or 2 flies, but not with lead eyes or something like that. You know, slim profile. I went to the post office to send some flies to Doc, who watches from Ireland, who's won many giveaways. And it was like 10, 12 bucks or something. And that would be around similar to Australia. It wasn't bad. It's very light, small. Putting in the bubble mailer sucked, right? Because that's where the price came from. But they quoted me that it was, he would have to pay $427 for import tax to Ireland or something. And I was like, what the hell are you talking about? And the guy at the post office, New York post office, they're like, I don't know what, look, just what the screen tells me, you know. And they know me by first name because I go there shipping flies all the time. I'm like, this is ridiculous, right? Something's not right. They're like, I don't know what you want me to say. It's telling me it's 400. He's got to pay 400 bucks to import it to Ireland or something. I'm like, all right. So we figured out, I was like, screw it. We're just going to put it in an envelope, fold a piece of paper around it. And if it gets there, it gets there. And it gets there. So that's how we do it now. But don't expect, you're not getting a dozen flies. You're getting like a fly or 2 maybe. But, you know, I that's why I send like smaller flies that are slimmer, like Candies and stuff like that, you know. Talladega Nights, dude. Oh, I love Talladega Nights. Is Mike Honcho from Talladega Nights or... Baby Jesus, I'm on fire. Baby Jesus. You're not on fire, Ricky Bobby. Is he taking off his clothes? What is he? You haven't had flies sent to me though? Yeah, it's, dude, I mean, even my post office here in New York, I've had orders for customers that got stuck in Brooklyn and just disappeared. Who knows, maybe fell on a conveyor belt in like this old Brooklyn warehouse or some shit. Like, who the hell knows, right? I've had packages just go places and then show up months later. I've had packages come back to me months later. I've had packages completely disappear, so... Well, I love the U.S. Post Office, like the U.S. Postal Service. There are definitely some areas and some places, or just some, there are times where it's like, you're never going to see that thing again. And they're going to be like, I don't know what you're talking about, bro. Sucks to suck. You want $50 insurance or something? Like $20 insurance? Sure, here you have it. When Ricky Bobby's in the hospital, his buddy Cal said he spread his butt cheeks. Okay. Hit the like button. What's going on, Thunder? I saw those gardening photos. I like it. Ah, Mike Concho. Oh, okay. Interesting. You're famous in that regard, huh? Hey, Paul Bridgers. How you doing? Yeah, I mean, look, you know, look, YouTube got Jimmy Crack Corn. I'm sorry, Jimmy. They got you. Just like that Playgirl spread. They got you, bro. You saw that crown. He said, I want that crown. I'm getting it. They got him. Almost done. Nice. Hell yeah. Because everything coming to Australia has to come via plane. Usually slow everywhere else. Usually spends a week or 2 traveling around the U.S., then to Asia, then Australia. Yeah, exactly. You're good? Good. I'm glad to hear it, Paul. All right. Enough blabber. We're going to take a quick little break. Albie highlight. You know it. You love it. And, you know, we'll be back here in just a little bit, and we'll tie, we'll tie like a sand eel fly or 2 or so, all right? I don't give a fuck, but I do care, all right? Cool. He cares, but he don't care. It's all good. I love it. Love to hear it. Yeah, dude. Yeah, dude. Stay tight, all right? Yep, you can fight. Yeah, dude. Yeah, Aiden. Knuckle buster. Are you good? Do you need me to do anything?
Yeah, I might need a ride. Yes.
Okay, okay. Hold on, I'm gonna turn now.
I'm gonna try and get on the valve.
Yeah, get on the valve. Alright, you're doing good. Keep doing your thing. I'm gonna move us away.
Is that a little one?
No, that's a nice one.
Oh, let's go!
Come here, close next to Allie. Good job.
That's sick.
Alright. Nice.
Let's go! Woo! Albie slap!
Good job, dude.
Yee!
Looking down the barrel of a 12 gauge little tuny, bro. On the albacore too. You're taking food like that. Oh my god, dude! What the fuck? Woohoo! Oh my god. Yep. Oh my god! You gotta turn the boat so I can cast. Oh my god, dude! Alright, get back to catching him, Diego.
You can't go on that.
Frigates!
Howdy.
Frigate. Alright, we're back. Yeah, you know, the likes thing could be, whatever, but it's all good. Alright. Shipping is crazy. I really want to order some rod blanks, but it's so expensive. Yeah, I mean, shipping in general, dude. And I think prices are going up again or something, but what are you gonna do? You know? Alright. Oh, let me put my filter back on. Hopefully remember it. Because my AC's kicking on every once in a while, so I like having this noise suppression filter on. Alright. Yeah, I don't know if they got trout fishing in Australia. They might in some areas. But I think New Zealand's significantly cooler in certain areas, and it's also a different terrain. I thought about moving to New Zealand. I looked into it. You either had to have $1 million like net worth, like cash or something, or you had to have a job that they would accept as like a mechanic. I was like looking at jobs in New Zealand to move there potentially, but cost of living is living on an island like that is expensive in general. And I was like, how am I going to ship anything or do anything if I ever go that route, you know? This is back before I fly tied a lot or for a living, but yeah, well, you know, that's the way everything is. Money, money, money makes the world go around. Forgot I had so many. I have a bunch with real plus eyes on there. I got to tie a bunch more clousers for a local shop. So we're going to do a little bend back action here. All you got to do is bend the hook slightly like that. Nice and simple. It's almost a little extreme, but it'll work fine. You can bend it further back. You can bend it closer up. We're going to try and tie some sand eel type flies. Just adjust the regal there. Let me also refresh my YouTube. I don't know why, dude. Just every once in a while on YouTube, it's a good idea to like fast forward on the stream, like tap it a couple times on the right side. I find when watching on YouTube, it lags behind. Twitch is like it doesn't have a feature to where you can like go back and watch stuff, so it's constantly refreshing if you do lag behind. But on YouTube, you'll end up like being like 15, 20 seconds behind on a stream sometimes. Because I'll comment something on like a Djibouti stream and then realize it's like I've commented something later than the actual, you know. That's the one downside. Other than that, it works great. But when I look at my dashboard for YouTube, for my YouTube stream, it shows it sometimes. It's like back at the marble race right now. So I just refreshed it. That's just something to note if you watch on YouTube live streams. Yeah, Trout Hunters New Zealand. That guy's, I've been watching him for a while. He's got a cool channel. New Zealand has some wild fishing, dude. Freshwater fishing. Some wild freshwater fishing. So when it comes to bendbacks, I like bucktail. So what seems to work the best? Ideally, I want something somewhat long. Let's grab a new tail. Yeah, this looks good. I have half 2 dozen of these. I went through about 3 tails so far, but yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's. I would love to go to Australia one day. That's in my trip. I was super big into hunting at the time. New Zealand has great hunting. Do some bow hunting on foot for some deer. in New Zealand, or do some fly fishing in those rivers for giant trout. That'd be a cool trip. So if we're tying something sand eel related, we don't want it to be too much material. We want it to be sparse. So I'm really just going to be using like that much bucktail for each top and bottom. I am thinking though maybe we take some hackle. I have tied bendbacks with hackle. I used to do it with just bucktail. So I'm thinking we tie one like this. The next one, I want to add some lead weight, wrap some lead weight and add it down here. And I want to see how it reacts. I've never really added lead weight that way. I know Gunnar Brammer does in that style a lot. I don't think we need hackle for this. This should be okay. And I do want to tie. Maybe the next one will add some hackle to it. What's your book about, Jimmy? We're just going to go ahead and tie this right where that little bend is that we made. Again, these are very simple flies in reality. And the fact that it swims upside down is because of the material and the bend. And this material will also, depending on how stiff it is and the type of material used, this could also help act as a weed guard, essentially. It's called The Ballad of the American Reckoning. Okay. Cool name. Okay, interesting. Well, hey, good on you for writing a book. That's an accomplishment. One day, who knows? Maybe something fishing related, but I don't know. I'm in the camp of like trying to write a book is like you need to like have a what do you call it? I would need to get somebody to like actually write it. But also, what the hell do I know? Oh, cool. Hell yeah. Sure, it was an undertaking writing a book. Let's go ahead and go with some Pearl Flashaboo here. Yeah, like Lou Tabery, I would say, is probably, and then Kenny Abrams are probably my favorite fly fishing authors. Fantastic. Ray Bondrew as well. Just the way that they wrote their books. Bondrew and Abrams have the way they wrote their books are very nice. Great authors in the way they explain things, but also with just like adding a feel to it as well. It's not just about fishing. What's going on, Ben? We're just tying a some sand eels, and I kind of like bendbacks. I'm liking bendbacks a lot. The thing you got to realize, fishing the surf, your hook points dull out so quick, so you need hooks if you're going to be trying to fish anything near the bottom. They have to swim upside down. So we're going for bendbacks. Jiggies are great alternatives as well, tying jiggies, which I do have some cones, but I kind of want to mess around with the bendback and tie some different variations. Hope you're doing well. So does anyone have any plans for some fishing this weekend? Like I said, I'm going to try next week go throw the mole fly, the mole sand eel, or sand flea fly, but I got to try and get as many of these candies and, or not as many, I got to get all of these done and then meet up with this guide next week. So I just want to get that done and then I can go fishing. Started fly fishing the Salt. I'm in Maine for the summer and I haven't caught a thing. Ah, somebody else watching from YouTube just went recently. Yeah, it's you're gonna need to like go at, so if you're not catching anything, make sure you go at different tides, different times of the day. Striped bass in particular during the summer, like eating at dawn and at dusk. So sunrise and sunset. So changing of the lights always good because it confuses the bait fish, and striped bass innately they love hunting at night, but you can fish during the day. But look for current, look for structure, So either water washing over rocks, what cliffs, whatever, this and that. Look for rivers or outflows or sandbars, any sort of structure, moving water, and preferably during a time when the water is in like an outgoing or incoming tide. Again, it's going to be dependent on where you are in the area. But if you're not catching any fish, make sure you switch it up. Like try different times of the day, different tides, different areas, and a particular area may need to come back and fish a couple times before you start finding fish. But if you're not getting anything at all, start going to different places altogether. And mixing it up. Throw different flies, some big, some small, some near the surface, some near the bottom. Mix up your retrieves. You're going to need to figure out, it took me a year of fly fishing in salt. I was catching bluefish. I couldn't catch a straight bass. It took me about a year to catch one on the fly. Your phone died? Oh, it's all good, Inferno. You got big mangrove jacks, you got trevally and smaller bream around the pontoons and the canals. Most guys target with shad style soft. Yeah, okay. Soft plastics. How many are you tying or do you need to tie? Oh, for this guy, well, I've been tying this order for a while, but I mean, God, there's probably, let's see, there's 2 dozen, so 5 dozen candies and 5, 6 dozen roosterfish flies. Stripers that you find in the morning, like the early morning. Yeah, early, like right, like, and if you go fishing an hour before sunrise for straight bass, your chances are going to go up drastically. I'm just going to tell you, I hate waking up at that time, so I fish sunset. But yes, you really want to catch fish, you got to wake up at sunrise and false dawn. Yep. If I ever have a guide boat, if I ever become a guide, it's going to be called Crack of Noon Charters, because we're waking up at the crack of noon, baby. All right, we're leaving that boat ramp around 2 o'clock. Jacks are bastards. Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Those fish don't mess around, dude. Jacks are like bluefish if the bluefish were given some sort of freak nuclear steroids to make them as aggressive and muscular as possible. When I say bluefish, I mean tailors, by the way, Papa. It's been a crap year. Last year I was catching a bunch on conventional. I gotta say, man, my inshore fishing's been terrible. If you don't have a boat, it's been really bad for the past couple years. Previously, we'd catch a lot of fish. This year, I didn't catch a single fish in the month of April, when normally we would have caught 20 of them by now. So, it's definitely, fishing cyclical. Straight bass are in trouble no matter what. They need to get the population up, otherwise they're thinking of a moratorium potentially. So it's not like striped bass are in the best state either, but it's interesting. Some people have great fishing. I personally have had some of the worst fishing I've ever had in my life for the past couple of years. So it's just the way it is, especially inshore. If you got a boat, you can go out to Montauk and Block Island on Long Island. You're going to be catching 30, 40 pounders. But you're fishing in the bay here, in the middle of the island, and it's been a struggle, So don't feel alone in that sentiment. I found a lot of people tell me about it as well. So the fishing is not what it was like 5, 10, obviously whatever, how many years ago, but hopefully it gets better. That's why you got to handle fish as little as possible. Let them go. I mean, everybody watching the stream probably knows all this. The people that are throwing clam bait without circle hooks, you got to watch out for, and people dragging fish through the surf, kicking them back. But we got to do whatever we can to make sure their populations are good, because, man, all this has huge effects. That it's not just like your fishing sucks. It ends up that, well, fishing sucks. You're not going to spend as much money at tackle shops. The guides don't get as much customer, this and that, right? And it ends up becoming this like domino effect. And the recreational saltwater fishing industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry in the Northeast. It's one of the most profitable things is recreational striper fishing and the industries that support it. So It's a very important asset in general, just to the East Coast, to the state of New York and all these states around here that make money from all the tourism and this and that, people coming out here, you know? So, got to get their shit together because it's one of the most important environmental resources out here, striped bass in general. Yeah, I mean, if you look at their data, it is. I don't want to get all doom and gloom. We talk about this a lot, but striped bass definitely need to get some good spawns in. And the thing is, what you find is when striped bass don't have good spawning in one year, the next year, you're going to start seeing less. Right now, we're not getting a lot of small fish. It's because they haven't had good spawning results. So we're not seeing a lot of these smaller fish that you normally see in the bay. A little 8-inch, 10-inch fish and this and that. What that means is in the future, there's going to be less. Right now, so what you end up, you're catching fish that are like schoolie sized fish. These are year class fish. So they could be from what's the year right now? It's 2025. So they could have been from 2018, let's say. All these fish we're catching in a certain size. So if you don't get a good spawn, then 5-10 years from now, you see the effects of it, right? So it's not something that also you see overnight. It's something that gets worse and worse and worse and worse. And then, just like anything else with fishing and marine life, it's cyclical. It generally booms back, and it could have to do with regulation. Also, could just have to do with natural cycles and stuff. But no matter what, obviously, we're the main cause of the reason why. And by we, I mean humans. Are the main cause striped bass are on the decline, as well as environmental stuff. But mostly, all these things are caused by us. But that's why regulations and conservation is very important. And you see effects of but it also just has to do with whether or not they spawn or not, or have a good spawn. So, um, and there's only a limited places in the entirety of the country that striped bass physically have a river or a location that has substrate that is the proper area for them to actually be able to spawn. So, but that being said, fly fishing is already, at times it's easier. A lot of times it's tougher than spin fishing. That's just the reality. So you have to learn how to adapt. So just like anything else in fly fishing, you need to learn how to adapt and figure out what you need to do to catch fish. And whether there's good fishing or bad, you can still go catch fish. You're going to have to just wrap your head around it. And that's fly fishing in general, right? For striped bass. You get to, believe me, it's a lot easier to go throw a dead eel or throw a plug. You can catch a lot more fish, but it's not the reason why we throw fly rods. Oh. Anyways, this is why I like bendbacks. Like, tell me that's not, look how nice that is. Easy, simple. It's going to swim like this, too, especially with a loop knot. It's important to use loop knots, but I never use one of those fly baskets. Are those super helpful? Jimmy, if you're fishing on rocks, let's say you're fishing on an inlet for straight bass, right? Your line falls in the rocks. There's literally, God knows what's down there. Metal bars. Oh, who knows what. I've lost $100 fly lines fishing on the rocks. And no matter what, if you're using an intermediate or a sinking line, your line's going to sink. So it's not like you're fishing on a river and your floating line's being drifted downstream. And as you're spay casting or regular casting, your line is easily accessible. When you're fishing intermediate lines, if you don't use a basket, your line is underwater, and now you have the resistance of your sinking fly line being underwater, and you're trying to cast, and it just ruins your cast. So baskets are pretty important. Also, if you're fishing in the surf, your fly line's going to end up in a bird's nest by the time it comes back to your feet after a couple waves. If you're fishing in current, the current is so strong at times with intermediate lines, it's like impossible. So I highly recommend either making your own with a dish basket, drilling holes, putting zip ties on the bottom, and putting a bungee cord. And that's how I fished for many years, because they didn't sell stripping baskets. People made their own back in the day. And then for Christmas, I got one for Orvis as like a teenager, and I've had that thing ever since. Orvis sells one. It's really good. I mean, that thing is going to probably outlast me unless I drive over it with a Suburban. I don't think I could break it with a Honda Fit. I think you need a Suburban to break that stripping basket So good. So I recommend the Orvis one. I've had that one for ridiculously long. But there's a couple different types, a couple different kinds. I don't like the open style. You want one that has like a basket around it. Whether it's a deep one you put on your side or whether it's a more shallow one that's in the middle, like right on your hip in front of you. They make ones where there's no side to it at all. I had some dude come out and come fishing with me recently, and that thing was like, he literally was, I gave him my basket to use, and he got an extra 30, 40 feet. If you don't got if your line is not set up to cast, I mean, because you got to realize in saltwater, a lot of times we're blind casting. I'm casting 90, 100 feet, unless the wind's fighting me. If the wind's not fighting me, I'm casting that 90, 100 feet. The further I can get my fly out there, the more time my fly's in the water, I can have a better chance while blind casting and searching to get a fish. And a lot of times striped bass will be just out of your reach, so you need to be able to get that extra 10 feet. So, yes, I think baskets are very important, shipping baskets and all that. I'm going to move the bend up a little bit this time by just where I'm bending it is further. So we have more room to work with. That's also a very extreme bend. Maybe we can unbend that a little. Yeah, let's try it like this, I guess. I mean, that's pretty extreme. I think, you know what? Let's try it. See how it swims. I was going to put lead wire, but you know what? I kind of like it without it, so. You got a pro deal for drift waders. They might. I don't know. They might. I feel like there's probably more stripping basket options nowadays than there's ever been, so. I've been trying out that 3D printed fly line holder. Works well if you have decent strips. Oh, interesting. Is it a fully enclosed basket or is it one of those open ones? My buddy just got a FDM printer. I've been resin printing for years for miniatures. At the end of the stream, I told you guys I was going to last stream show you my bolt action stuff. I'm going to show you this time, whether you like it or not. Because I'm a miniatures and wargaming and D&D sort of and Savage Worlds nerd. But he got an FDM printer so we can print tanks and terrain and stuff. With an FDM printer, you can print that sort of stuff. Did you print it yourself or did you buy it? It was 3D printed. And it's crazy. He had to like get these. He had to put these two parts together for a tank. He was literally hitting the miniature with a hammer to get the parts together, which is so different to resin printing. For resin, you got detail. For FDM, you have strength. So you can print like structural things. That's why people print like gun receivers and crap, you know? You can actually print like fishing lures with a FDM printer, PLA filaments and stuff. So if I ever need to, I can always have him print something for me. But I'm already impressed. The quality of these, the FDM printer is really good. You're not going to print little tiny miniatures for like D&D because the quality's not really there. You could, but you know it's not going to be that good. But for this larger stuff, I'll show you. Printed me 2 tanks and a half track, 2 German tanks and an American half track for bolt action, and the quality's pretty good, man. Printing it yourself? Oh hell yeah! It's a small thing you can carry in your pack, and and then when you need it, unlike my traditional stripping basket, that is one thing that's annoying, and you will get people that, if you're walking on the beach in the summertime, past a bunch of beautiful young ladies, you know, and you're puffing your chest out a little bit. Meanwhile, you have this stripping basket around your waist. You look like a bozo. All right, there's no other way of saying it. With a stripping basket around your waist, it's hard to look cool. Let's just say that. You know what I mean? There's many times throughout the years I've walked down a beach or an inlet with a stripping basket around my waist, and I'm like, I look like an idiot. And people have no idea what you're doing. They're like, what are, they don't even understand I'm fishing at first because of the thing around my waist. They're like, what are you doing? And then they see me like waving a fishing rod back and forth like a lunatic. It's hilarious. But there's so many times, dude, I've been walking over the years with a stripping basket. And I'm like, I walk past somebody. I'm like, dude, they even give me a look. They're like, what the? But, who cares, right? But there have definitely been times I've questioned. I'm like, dude, what am I doing? I look like a moron right now. Oh yeah, it works on. I literally was using a stripping basket when we were out in Block Island, and I was trying to get this dude Steven to use the stripping basket when he was using my rod. He's like, no, I'm fine, I'm fine. The line kept getting tangled. You know why? Because it's hot, and when the fly line dries out, it knots up if you don't keep it wet. So you just say you're a fishing magician, waving your wand around. See, that's why you Aussie blokes, you got all the riz. You know what I mean? I've seen you Aussies before, you know. I would have said something like that, I would have fallen off the inlet. Had to have a child with floaties rescue me because I'm like wearing waders without a wading belt. Riz. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm not that old. I'm 34, all right? I could say Riz. Look, I'm one of you cool kids. Hey, oh, whoa, whoa. No, it's getting to the point to where I think in a couple of years, I'm not, like, I can talk to somebody that's in their 20s and be like, hey, whatever. I think soon in a couple of years, they're going to be like, dude, you're like an old guy. You're an old man. We're getting there. Not yet. I've just started getting into historical wargaming from Warhammer. So I'm getting there. Been drinking a lot of tea recently, too, instead of coffee. Next thing you know, I'm going to be wearing flannel. I'm going to be wearing Orvis wool sweaters. Smoking a pipe. Yeah, they like it when you wave your wand around until you hook them in the back with a 3-aught half and half at 110 miles an hour. And you forgot to crush the barb. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. While you're naked. Swinging your dick around. No. You guys are doing your wand analogies, eh? Yeah, you want to hear a fun story? I was young. Probably 10, 12 or something like that. Fly fishing. We go to this lake. Fishing for panfish. And the actual lake you swam in, there was like panfish, but nothing else. But years later, when we went on kayaks and canoes, there's a pond in the back. Secret. You got to get like a key, drive back there. Fishing so good. But so anyways, I got my fly rod sitting on the beach next to our towel. My friend PJ, who came and the day we caught that one shark on stream on the fly rod, he was there on stream, and his family they're renting a house out here, and during the summer, the family that was renting the house to them would come back and stay. So they would take a camper and they would go to these local Suffolk County and parks and stuff on Long Island. One of them was here at this lake, and so we're sitting there. There's this. I got to be careful because Twitch will ban me, and I don't want to be mean, right? But there was this one lady, and let's just say, if she were to step on a fishing rod, it would snap instantly, right? We'll just say that. She had like some kids with her or something, and dude, I don't know what. We go swimming or whatever, and this lady was sitting next to us. I come back, the fly rod is completely snapped in half, and I see this lady like walking away. She definitely just stepped on it. Snapped my fly rod in half, with sheer weight, and what do you call it? And I was like a little kid too. Like, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna go up there and like confront her as like a 10-year-old or something. This grown woman. So yeah, my fly rod broke because this lady stepped on it, and that's my story. I lost that fly rod. I'll never forget it though. It was that type of person where she had kids and they were like going crazy, and it was like it was just one of those people you'd see in like Walmart. You know what I mean? Like a Walmart, where those Walmart photos. It was something like that. Some like big lady that would probably be buying like a bunch of mayonnaise and like her kids are running all over the place, and so that was fun. I vividly remember, and I was like, dude, I wish I had the balls as like a 10-year-old kid to be like, hey, yo, and just start cursing this lady out. You fucking break my rod, you dumb. And start going nuts. Oh, man. Meanwhile, I'm just like, oh, dude, I'm like to look at my friend. I'm like, I think that lady stepped on my fly rod and broke it. It was like a 4-piece travel rod my dad got me. Yep. So I probably didn't go freshwater fishing for like a couple years after that because I didn't have a fly rod for freshwater fishing. Oh, because that one lady. That's what kids do nowadays. She's dead now. Well, we don't gotta get. I don't think she was. She probably didn't do it on purpose. You know what I mean? We don't gotta get. She's dead now. Flannel shirts. Are we talking about flannel? Is that what you call flannel shirts, or is flano shirts? Are they different? A hit and run. It was a hit and run. Yeah. Walmart mom. Yeah, it was a Walmart mom. Yeah, it was like some weird random brand that we bought from like this one fly shop that's not around anymore. That was by the Connecticut River. But they were like weird brands. They were probably like Chinese made or something. I don't know, or some company that wasn't very popular or something. But they were more affordable than like a Sage. There wasn't many options. This was like pre like TFO being around and being an affordable option. Like you had fly rods that were like you had Orvis, you had Sage, you had G Loomis. There was only a handful of brands that you could find, and there wasn't very many like there wasn't $100 fly rods like we have nowadays, like TFO and entry level rods. Um, so like if you were looking through like you were new getting into fly fishing, back in the day, the whole mentality was if you're fly fishing, then you have to have money because it's so expensive. At least that's the thing I always got out of it from regular fishermen. You know what I mean? Compared to a spool of mono and a setup with a pen from Walmart or Sports Authority back in the day. Hey, Anastasia, how you doing? I hope you're doing well. Just some bendbacks. We were tying some surf candies and chit-chatting and whatnot. Oh, by the way, we got our follower giveaway going on. Hop on in there, Slim, and anyone else. Exclamation mark play. I thought you were on YouTube for a sec because I got to be careful how I say. So Twitch is super enforcing their policy. That's why I can't have chat on screen, especially like a YouTube chat. So I decided not to do that. And like you're also not allowed to like say like if somebody gives you a YouTube donation, say that was from YouTube. You're just supposed to say, hey, thanks for the dono or something. So you have to be very careful. They're like banning people, or they're just very strict on it now. So, but Djibouti Show was talking about it because they used to have both chats on stream. So, but I actually need to be careful. But I have a way that potentially I could see both chats. That's all I'm gonna say. Even on my end, I'm not supposed to. Theoretically, I'm not supposed to use third-party software to combine the platforms on my end, which is wild. There's like some dude like looking through my window like a Twitch employee, like, we got him. I'm like, oh no, oh no. They saw him. Gotcha. Let's see. Has he done any hot tub streams? Nope. Banned. Got him. How you doing, Anthazio? Hope you're doing well. I got a center pin rod from G Loomis. It's my favorite rod, dude. G Loomis is I broke a G Loomis this year. First G Loomis I ever had was gifted to me after my rod flew off the side of my customer's boat. He gifted me one single piece, beautiful rod. I was casting flies with Mark Sadati and it broke on the lake. I do need to send that into G Loomis. I will pay money to have them fix that, and they might not even fix it because I don't think it's a rod they make anymore. It was an 8 foot 10 inch single foot rod, something. What are hot tub streams? You know, it's when you swim the flies in the hot tub and see how they react in hot water. Mm-hmm. You don't need to just don't go to Twitch. Don't worry about it. Bitch slap him. uh so just listening to chat and comment bomb when I can. Okay. I'm managing a 3-year-old right now. I got a 4-week-old in the house. Dude, God bless you. Man's in the trenches. I don't have kids or nothing, but I have friends that have kids, and I haven't fished with them in years, so I understand. Yeah, I like these bendbacks, man. These come out really nice. So this one's got a little bit more material. I would say this is more like a spearing profile than a sand eel. It does slim down more, but like sand eels, you can see the last one we tied a little bit less material. It slims down a lot more, right? You're heading to Long Island this Sunday. Hopefully, to get into some blues or fluke or some bass. Hell yeah! Don't forget, put some bass in there. Old G looms, they don't make them anymore. Yeah, yep, yeah. What are you gonna do? I can't. I don't. I can't have nice things. You know what I mean? That's why I don't buy nice rods and reels. Things break. I break things a bunch. Uh, even not even good doing that nuts. But you hand me a nice rod, I'll break it on a cocktail bluefish. Something will happen. But it's also like fishing and saltwater fishing from shore and boats, and so I used to bring. I'm sure the rod got damaged at some point, probably, but something probably smacked the rod, like a weighted fly or something. You know, either when I had it or before that. Who knows, right? But oh, okay. Yeah, we just found him on the street. You know, watched for a couple days. You know, gotcha. Yeah, I like buying rods, TFOs or something like a Rise, 150 bucks. Lasts me 10 years. If it breaks, cool, I'll just buy a new one or I can have it replaced. That's why I love that. All right, we're going to tie one more of these things. What is it, 9:30? Oh, well, you know what? Let's take a look at the Discord. That's what we'll do. We still got a marble race to do, but we'll do that at the end of the stream. I want to take a look at the Discord and see what you folks have been tying and up to. We did look the other day, but just give me a second. I'm going to pull this up. For anyone new here, if you're watching on YouTube, in the description, there should be a link to the Discord, or on Twitch, you could type !Discord in the chat and share your flies and fishing pics with hopefully some like-minded people. So let's see. Oh, hell yeah, Jen. Oh, nice. We're going to take a look. I'm just going to make sure there's no butts or, you know, dicks or something. Okay, we saw some of this stuff last time, but we might as well look. Craggerall catching some speckled trout. Love to see it. And fluke or flounder. Summer flounder, hell yeah. Camel eggs, though, with an ever impressive. This is actually pretty nuts. Look how small that bass is. That'd be good, you know, making an imitation of a fly, right? Morano's been camping on the border of Norway and Sweden. So these are all wild trout. Somewhere in near Sweden and Norway he's been catching and living off of eating. So that's pretty cool. He's got a sick trip. I'm sure it's beautiful out there. Like, check this out. How cool is that? It's probably gorgeous up there. You're living the life. Look at that. I mean, God bless him, dude. That's what it's about. You know, grayling as well. First grayling. We'd love to see it. Gabe, look at that. Nice fluke. Hell yeah. And some Crocs. Jeez. We got Jin. Hey, very nice, dude. Nice fish. Is that your fish? I feel like that's you. Oh, yeah. You guys got some nice fish. Looking good, dude. That's your buddy, right? That's not you. Yeah, there's some nice fish. Is that a squid fly? That's the fly you were catching them on? Nice. Very nice. I like that's a nice Orvis. It's a nice Orvis. Mackerel fly. Gotcha. And then we got David K. Smith. He's over in Hawaii. He posted recently some more squids and stuff. This is the video that's coming out on Sunday. The pattern that step by step. This is the mole sand flea fly that we came up with. Sand flea imitation. But yeah, you can always feel free to join the Discord. We got a bunch of different cool folks in there from over the years of me streaming and from videos and stuff that have joined and post some awesome stuff. There's some all-stars of the community, though, that post all the time. Yeah, fish pics and clips. Yep, it's pretty self-explanatory. I broke my Beluga 3 times. I went on to a left-hand cast, a thin, so I practiced left-hand. It's because the fly hit the rod yet. I'm sure that's probably what happened to this G Loomis. Whether I did it or the previous owner hit it with a clouser or something, you cause a weak point. You might not even see that. But dude, a weighted clouser hitting a fly rod at 90, 100 something miles an hour on a forward cast with a double haul, the rod will break eventually. Yep. I'm not saying that's what it was. Who knows, right? But I was also throwing a giant fly. It could just broke the rod because of that. But single piece rod, that's surprising, you know. All right, I think we're ready to do our last marble race here. Again, it's getting kind of late here. It's getting to that point where I'll start wrapping it up. Thank you so much for watching, chat. But before we're done, the final marble race of the night. All you got to be doing is following the channel on Twitch. Type !play. We got Slim Thunder, Leans, Brew, and Gin so far. So Mike Honcho, you're going to want to get in there. And we'll get some marble racing music going. But we do have a new video coming out on Sunday. Like I said, the mole crab fly video. And before the end of the month, so either probably Wednesday or something, we'll have our giveaway video come out. So probably it's going to be like a sand eel bendback like we just tied. What is Discord? Discord is just an app you can use on your computer or phone, and it's just a way of like, essentially it's like a community thing. It originally, the way I discovered it is we use it while we're playing computer games. There's no like Xbox Live. You know how you can talk to people while you're playing video game consoles? There's no way to do that on computer. So this is like a app to talk to people. You can like voice chat, but it also is a way that it later become or was like a almost like a forum, but it's like a mini community. And you can, so we have a fly tying area, a fish picture area, and people can share photos and posts and stuff like that. That's all it is. You know, it's like it's almost like social media, but it's not. It's like, you know, people have to join it. You know what I mean? So it's not like just any random person. You have to seek out and either join it or be sent or whatever. So it's Pictionary. I don't know. Yeah, Discord is kind of like what, or like what forums, or it's almost kind of like, well, are forums even still a thing? Or like I used to be on like 240SX forums or Zilvia.net, fishing like Stripers Online. That was like a big thing, but yeah, yeah. Papa clearly doesn't like it. But if you, what do you call it? If you, you do this sort of stuff, it's a great, you know, it's a cool way to see, like, I could see your guys' flies and stuff. Otherwise, I can't see it. You can't post on my stream, so. But it's not for everybody. I get it. All you gotta do is type !play, Mike Honcho. No, it could be overwhelming. And what you do is pop a little pro tip. If you ever do want to be in a Discord, let's say your buddies or something, you go to the settings, you mute the server. And this is what I do to every Discord server that I join, except for mine because I have to moderate it. But you just mute the server so you don't get notifications. Just do that. That's a pro tip. You need to learn that right off the bat. Otherwise, you're going to be getting boop, 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 boop. Luckily, I mean, our Discord, it's not like there's thousands of people, but, you know, somebody will post every once in a while. You might get a notification. But what you do is you mute the server. I'm in Discords with some of my buddies that we play games and stuff. Sometimes they'll post it all the time, so I can't be hearing that. Yeah. All right, let's get started. Again, good luck. First, Marble. I'm sure everybody here is following. Oh, Leans is here. What up, Leans? How you doing? Hope you're doing well. Sorry I missed you at some point. I'm going to hop in there because maybe I can knock my Concho off. And good luck. First Marble in the pit is going to win. I wonder, do you throw shrimps locally? Yes. In the creeks, like by my house. And in the bays and outflows, I will. During the summertime, you can. I'll usually fish them in tandem with another fly, like a raised fly, and I'll dead drift them. But I don't do it as often. I haven't had as much luck, Anastasia. But you can do it. I have caught fish on shrimp flies. It's really tough to get them when they're specifically eating shrimp at times. But what I like doing is fishing it as a dropper. Either ultra shrimp or some sort of natural shrimp fly. And I'll fish it above a raised fly. Yeah, no problem. Working late. That's what I usually do. Love to hear it. I'm super, during the, like, so I work from home, obviously. I have my own, I tie flies, whatever. I don't work for anybody else, really, so we have barely been clamming. But, so I can choose my time. So it's like I usually hang out earlier in the day or, like, just wake up, I'll drink some tea or coffee and, hang out, smoke it up and catch up on things on my phone and whatnot. And I'm usually, like, then a little bit later, after I wake up a little bit, I start working and I get productive. And then I usually work late into the night. Like, I'm a night owl. You know what I mean? Jin, looking good. Mike, Brew, Leans, Slim. Still anybody's race. But, so I usually work later into the night anyway. Me and my dad kind of stay up late. My dad's side, he's Turkish. All my Turkish side of my family, they all, like, would be staying up till, like, 4 a.m. Jin, so far in the lead. It looks like he's going to get it, dude. But the paddle section has been known to make or break. Oh, wait, we're on the same track, dude. It's coming down to this again. Oh, no, I didn't put it on random. Will Jin be able to pick the right lane of destiny? So somehow he's gotten such a massive lead. I don't know how. He's hopped up on hairline dubbing or something. Jin, can he do it? This thing is moving like crazy. Can he find... Can he get the timing right, dude? Oh, dude. My Concho coming up. Oh, no, Jin! No, he's going to miss it! My Concho's there! Is he going to get it? This is rigged! It's not moving anymore! Who's this Mike Concho guy? He's hacked it. Oh! It moved at the last second. Nobody got it. Oh, Slim Thunder's left. Come on, Slim. We have to redo the race. Dude, I was like, how did you not get it, Mike Honcho? That was so close. It was the last second as it was, you were about to get in there, it moves. That was rigged. That was rigged if I've ever seen it. That was a debate. Slim, for the love of God, you got to get it, Slim. Otherwise, we got to redo the race. All right, we're redoing it. Everybody redo it. We're going different map. I didn't mean to redo the same map. Look, did you polish your marbles, Jimmy? You got to polish your marbles. If you're not polishing your marbles, then that's rookie racing 101. So, all right, I'm going to give everybody a minute, if not about a minute and a half in case there's a delay, to type exclamation mark play on Twitch, right? And then we're running it because I'm ready to go make some food. Yeah, first off, I thought I changed the map by hitting random, but apparently not. And yeah, that's what we call a high mortality rate. That's the way it goes. Usually you enter it once, you're good to go, but every once in a while, it's why it's important to stay and watch the stream if you're trying to get in on these. There are unknown variables, unforeseen, you know what I mean? It dropped down right as that, and that thing didn't move. It was moving the whole time. And then as you were dropping down, it started moving, which was so hilarious to me. The timing on that was ridiculous. All right, again, I'm going to give you folks 30 seconds exclamation mark play if you're watching on Twitch. Right now, we got Leans and Mike Honcho. I don't know what happened to Craggerol Brew. They got excited. They were like, oh, man, they got up, went to the hookah lounge. They're missing out. The coveted #1 spot of Marble Race. That's right. All right. Let's get another soundtrack going. All right. You've been in the hookah lounge the whole time. Well, that's why you're on point. Good luck. It's a 1v1. I'm just there to referee against Mike Honcho and Leans. First marble to land in the pit is going to win a fly. Good luck. Jerry, turn up the Mortal Kombat music. What the hell kind of map is this? It's like we're in a basement, like a basement nightclub of vampires, and Wesley Snipes is gonna come and like kill them all with swords. Approach the cannon. Whoa! No, Lean! No! Mike Honcho! It all comes down to Mike Honcho. All he needs to do is land in the pit. Oh my god, this map looks ridiculous. Hey, when I hit random, Mike Honcho, it all comes down to this. Don't get pegged, is all I'm going to say. Don't get pegged. Look at this. This is pretty interesting. The pegs are moving. This is actually a really cool race if we had like 100 marbles or something. Slowing up. All you got to do is finish the race. Leans was trying to get a shortcut, got cocky. It happens to the best of us. I don't know what the rings are, why there's like rings. I guess that's for just like trick shot. All right, it all comes down to this, Mike Honcho. Can you get in the hole? Ladies and gentlemen, if I've ever seen a rigged race, it was this one. Round of applause. Exclamation mark rigged. Mike Honcho. Clearly hacked the marble race, but hey, your hacking skills are far superior to my Windows Defender, supposedly, or something. Congratulations. By far the most rigged race we've ever had, but what are you going to do? Congrats. Congrats. Brand new winner. First time. So, I'm just joking, by the way. So what I need, Mike Concho, which you're Jimmy Crackcorn, right? On Discord, because I think you joined Discord, right? Yeah. You send me a shipping address. Okay. So I need a shipping address. And we'll send you a fly before the next giveaway. Usually. That's within that timeline. Give me a little while because I don't go to the post office all the time, so. Congratulations, though. Round of applause. And give yourself a round of applause, chat. Thank you so much for being awesome and hanging out and watching. Nice kind of chill night, tying some flies, chit-chatting, tying a couple bendbacks. Not too shabby. Nothing crazy. But, just hanging out, tying some flies. Can't go wrong with that. So thank you so much for hanging out and watching. I hope you folks have an awesome weekend. Don't forget, Sunday at 11 o'clock Eastern time, a.m., we're going to have the new sand flea fly video coming out. And at some point next week will be the giveaway video, which is probably going to be one of these bendbacks, to be honest with you. Just because it's kind of like a different style of bendback than I've tied before. We'll probably throw some hackle in there or something like that. So, got number one at the end. Hell yeah. So yeah, Jimmy Crackcorn or Mike Honcho, send me your shipping address in but you got to do it in a direct message on Discord. All right. So a direct message. I'll start by sending you a direct message, just in case you don't know. Just don't post it in the main Discord here. There you go. I started a chat with you because I think you might need to send me something to get one. Yep. Cool. Sounds good. Thank you so much, Chef, for hanging out and watching. I hope you folks have an awesome weekend. Have an awesome night. Go out there and either do some fishing, do some tying, hang out, relax, do whatever you're going to do, but do it well. Enjoy it. So thank you so much for watching. Any new folks here? Papa, thank you so much. And all you folks for tuning in and watching. You can feel free to either subscribe on YouTube if you're new here or follow on Twitch. But thank you again, Leans. Thank you for watching. Jimmy, Papa, Brew, Jin, everybody watching both on Twitch and YouTube. Thank you guys. And have an awesome weekend, all right? We'll see you. Don't forget, new video on Sunday, and we'll see you next week. So, all right. Till then, we'll see you, chat. Take it easy.